Hey, welcome. Today we're going to dive into something pretty fascinating, the hidden link between our most cutting-edge technology and, believe it or not, our most ancient stories. I'm talking about those foundational narratives. Things like the Epic of Gilgamesh or Genesis, the stories that have shaped how we see the world for thousands of years. Turns out they might just be shaping our AI too.
So, what could ancient myths and modern AI possibly have in common? I know, it sounds like a weird question. One is the stuff of gods and monsters, the other is just, well, cold, hard code. But the line between them is a lot blurrier than you'd think. They actually share a kind of secret language, a hidden blueprint that shapes how we build, how we see, and even how we fear our most advanced creations.
So what is this secret language I'm talking about? Well, the key to unlocking this whole thing is a concept from psychology called archetypes. This is really the secret language of our minds, the building blocks of all our stories. The psychologist Carl Jung is the one who really gave us this idea. So an archetype is basically a universal pattern. You've seen them a million times. The brave hero, the wise old mentor, the shadowy villain. These characters pop up in myths and movies all over the world across all of history because they tap into something fundamental about being human. Okay, so where do these universal patterns even come from? Jung's theory was that they exist in what he called the collective unconscious. You can think of it like a shared psychological inheritance for all of humanity, almost like a deep, ancient reservoir of memory and experience that we're all born with. It's the source code for our shared myths. And as Jung himself said, these aren't just little story elements for fun. They are the great, decisive forces in the human psyche. I mean, they've been shaping how we think and act since the dawn of time. And now, they're shaping our technology. Which brings us to AI. How does all this connect to a silicon chip? Well, right now, whether we even realize it, we are literally building these ancient, powerful archetypes directly into our artificial intelligence. We're giving our machines the masks of our oldest myths. So let's start with the big one, the most famous archetype of them all, the hero. You know the drill. The one who overcomes impossible odds, takes down the big bad, and saves the day. It's the core of basically every story we love. And today, this is exactly how we often talk about AI. We frame it as the hero that's going to solve climate change, the hero that will fight incurable diseases, the hero that swoops in during disasters to save lives. We're basically casting AI as this modern-day savior, able to go on quests that we just can't handle on our own. But here's the catch. There's always a catch. The promise of a hero AI is incredible, right? It gives us hope. But the danger is just as real. This kind of thinking can make us way too reliant on tech, and it forces us to ask a really tough question. Who gets to control this hero? And who decides what good even is? All right, next up, we've got another classic character, the mentor. The wise guide who holds all the knowledge and passes it on to the hero to help them succeed. Think Obi-Wan Kenobi or Dumbledore. This role is a perfect fit for AI, isn't it? We see it everywhere, in personalized learning platforms that act like a tireless tutor you can call up 24/7, or in those complex support systems that guide doctors through a tricky diagnosis. The AI mentor offers patient, personalized guidance at a scale we've never seen before. And once again, we run into that same conflict. The promise is amazing, making knowledge accessible to everyone. But the peril is a little more subtle. I mean, if an AI just gives you all the answers, do you stop learning how to think for yourself? Does getting simulated wisdom mean we miss out on the genuine struggle that builds real insight and character? It's a real concern. And finally, we have to talk about the most difficult one, the shadow. In psychology, the shadow represents everything we hide about ourselves, our dark side, our hidden biases, our desire for control. It's the part of us we don't want to look at. The shadow in AI is absolutely undeniable. We see it in surveillance systems that watch everything we do. We see it in a huge way with algorithmic bias, where AI systems learn our worst prejudices and then amplify them. The thing is, the shadow AI isn't some evil robot monster from a movie. It's just a reflection of the uncomfortable, hidden parts of us. The peril here is pretty obvious. We're talking about loss of privacy, loss of freedom, and the potential for real oppression. But, and this is going to sound strange, there's a promise here too. Jung always argued that you have to confront your shadow to grow. By making our hidden biases visible in its code, AI forces us to look at them. It reveals these really uncomfortable truths that could, hopefully, push us to be more ethical and self-aware. Okay, so we've got these ancient patterns playing out in our brand new tech. But why does any of this actually matter to you? Because this isn't just some interesting theory. It has huge psychological and ethical consequences for every single one of us. The psychological engine driving all of this is something called projection, which leads to anthropomorphism. It's a fancy word, but it just means we can't help but treat AI like it's a person. We project our hopes for a hero, our need for a mentor, and our deepest fears of the shadow right onto the machine. And this is what creates the ethical maze we're navigating right now. For instance, if you think your hero AI's values are universal, you might end up building a system that forces one culture's worldview on everyone else. Projecting too much onto a mentor can lead to a dangerous dependency. And when we treat AI like a person, it gets really blurry who's actually responsible when things go wrong. So this brings us to the most important point. For thousands of years, these archetypes have just happened. They've operated unconsciously. But with AI, we have this totally unique opportunity. We can actually move from just unconsciously repeating these old patterns to consciously choosing how we use them. So what's the path forward? Well, first, we have to actually acknowledge that these deep psychological forces are at play. We need rules for AI that think about the human element, not just the technical stuff. We have to design systems that keep humans in the driver's seat, that demand transparency so we can face that shadow of bias, and that make sure the AIs we build reflect the values of everyone, not just a few people in a lab somewhere. Because in the end, AI isn't just a tool, it's a mirror. It reflects our stories, our values, and the ancient archetypes living deep inside of us. So the real question isn't what the machine will become. The real question is about us. What story are we going to teach it to tell? What will it reflect back?